Good morning. Today is January 31st, 2013. Before this, I made 5 videos about Buchanan, West Virginia, corruption, and the crime rings. Recently, after I made the videos, I started getting threats from a man named Joey Loudon on my Facebook. The most recent of his threats is to expose what he calls nasty porn videos of myself and my husband Paul. So I asked Joey Loudon, what do you want? He says he wants me to admit to everyone I'm crazy and that he's not in cahoots with anyone. Now, for the sake of exposure, I could sit here and I can lie to you and tell you it's not true, and I'm crazy, and Joey Loudon's not in cahoots with Neva Moss, Brian George, Freddie Tingler, and the like. Well, I can't do that. And I'd like to tell you why. Even if my husband and my naked body in our private life is exposed for the whole world to see, I am not going to sit here today and retract what I have said about the people in question when it is the truth. Now, I'm not really great at this, and I'm sure it comes across a little strange, so please bear with me. In my other videos, I told about the corruption and the crime that goes on in the towns in West Virginia. And the reason I've done this is because I believe that the only way to stop scammers, thieves, and extortionists is to expose them and shame them. In fact, my friends created a website called bullyoff.net so that we could help people like myself and others who've been victims to these thugs and their crimes. Over the last few days, I've been very upset. These people have set out for a very long time now to destroy my life because they knew that I had dirt on them. Well, I'm here today to ask all of you to help me and to join my site today, because I believe if all of us stand up and we expose these people for what they've done to harm others, then they no longer will have the power to continue with their crimes and their victimization of people. I am quite happy to show all the posts that I've received from Joey Loudon. I have had some private calls. I've had people calling alleging I'm doing things I'm not to the police in that area. Because I am honest enough that I will stand up and I will tell you what I'm doing or not doing. I'm not sure exactly where to begin today. I could try to sit here and explain to you in detail how we were scammed, and hope by telling all of you this, you won't play victim as we did to these people. I want to protect the people. It is important to me. And I hope that the people will protect me and my family. Now, what I can tell you about Joey Loudon is that our realtor, Neva Moss, highly recommended him to us. In fact, she stated that he worked for her real estate company that she worked for as a builder for them. She gave him a high rating, in fact, because like us and others, when we move into an area and we want to renovate our homes or build new homes, we go around and we ask about the area, who's good, who's licensed, and who's bonded. And this is the answer that we were given by Neva Moss. Now, what I can tell you about Joey Loudon is he worked for us for about 2 or 3 weeks. And during that 2 or 3 weeks, he was supposed to pull permits for our property from the city, because you cannot do external renovation or building without having city permits. Well, we waited during that 2 or 3 weeks, and we did not have these permits from Joey Loudon. In fact, he kept making excuses saying that he had filed, but nothing had been issued, and that it took a while because the city building inspector was extremely busy and wasn't really quick in issuing the permits. And this was in Elkins, West Virginia, which is the town next to Buchanan. Well, during this time, I was really upset because previous to hiring Joey Loudon, my house at 61 Pleasant Avenue in Elkins had been robbed. Plasma TVs, furs, kitchen appliances, oh, you name it, they stole it. In fact, I was out of state at my other house in Florida at the time when it happened. So, yeah, I was very upset. I felt very violated because someone broke into my home and stole our things. And yes, I filed a police report and went to the city police. And the answers that I got, I felt were not acceptable. In fact, I was told, "Did you see them do it?" And of course I said, no, we weren't in the state when the house was robbed. So yes, I was very upset. And yes, I vented. Yes, I was angry. Well, being a scam artist and opportunist, like Joey Loudon is, he apparently, so he says, tape recorded me venting. He also, during these conversations, which I'm sure he probably edited, I'm not positive because I've never actually heard the tape recordings, offered to have thugs that work for him to go and harm these crooks who robbed us. Well, what you got to understand about West Virginia is a lot of times they're full of bull crap. They'll threaten you. They're going to beat your ass. They're going to kill you. You're crazy. Oh my God. I could sit here all day and give you the list of things they will say. And most generally, you take it with a grain of salt. And you know they're blowing smoke out their butt. And actually, when I'd actually gone to Joey's pawn shop, there was a big muscular young guy there. And Joey brought up the subject about the crooks who had robbed us. And it was close to Halloween. And we're all standing there saying, yep, that I can go and they'll go with me and we'll all wear Halloween costumes and we will look in these people's house to see if they have my big 65-inch plasma TV and the other things that were stolen. In fact, I think the people are from somewhere like Norton or something, that area, Norton, West Virginia, or around that surrounding area. Their last name's Sylvester. In fact, I think there's like 3 of them with the name of Sylvester. It's like the grandfather, the father, and the son. Now, the son has been to prison for counterfeiting, drugs, you name it. That guy's been there, done that. Well, I was joking around and thought it was quite funny, and I told the big muscular guy, which even today I can't tell you his name because I didn't even pay attention to what his name was. I said we could put a tutu on him, and then I could wear my costume, and then his buddy, and I don't even know the name of his buddy, could wear a costume, and, and they could be there for protection, and, and make sure that, these people didn't do anything to us when we went to see if our stolen property was in their house, So I thought it was just a joke. It was a way to vent and have a little fun and just joke. And this was probably around the first week after we hired Joey, if I'm correct, or first week and a half. Well, over the next couple of weeks, I would go to the police because I had gotten information that Anthony Sylvester III, I guess it would be, had received our property that was stolen. And actually, just so all of you know, they sold our 65-inch plasma to Anthony Sylvester for 900 pills. Can you believe it? To sell on the street. Which is pretty upsetting because I'm totally against drugs. So I was pretty mad. And I was venting. Gosh, I was venting. Well, anyway, so I said some things to Joey Loudon on the phone. That somebody needed to beat these people's ass. That they needed to do something to these people. Well, and that was probably about the first week and a half, 2 weeks in there. Well, next thing I know, I go down to Builder Supply, and someone there, and I want to keep his name private for his protection, asked me if I had seen the newspaper. And I told him no, I had not seen the newspaper. And he urged me to look at the newspaper. And I told him my mother's been very sick and I'm up to my eyebrows in building properties and things. And could he please tell me what was going on? He was still hesitant to tell me and suggested I look at the newspaper again. Finally, I said, hey, please just tell me what's going on. And he said, you know that guy, Joey Loudon, that you brought to sign on to your accounts? And I said, yes. And he said, well, you really need to read the newspaper because he's been indicted for writing a $13,000 check to Elkins Ford Land for a car. Well, okay, that was very upsetting because he had Brian George as his subcontractor working for us. So I was very nervous and upset because I was afraid that when I paid Joey Loudon for the workers, that he would not pay them and I would end up with liens against my property. So I called Joey Loudon and I said, look, Joey, I'm sorry, but you're fired. You haven't pulled the permits. There's been one excuse after another. And, now I find this out and I can't take the risk. And I was very polite about it. And Joey said, you're wrong, you're wrong. It's not what you think, you're wrong. And I said, well, Wrong, right, or otherwise, I just can't take the risk, and I'm sorry. Well, I think approximately the next day, I get a call from Joey Loudon. And he tells me that if I don't give him my Mercedes GL 450, which I think was at the time of 2008 or 2009, and this was about around that time frame, and $13,000 in cash, that he was going to turn the tape recordings over to the police. Well, oh my God, I was so hysterical. I thought, oh my gosh, my husband works for a foreign government, and, this is not going to look good. This is going to be really bad. So, I was hysterical. I was so upset. So I called, who's now my husband. At the time, he was my fiance. I called over to his country, and he was actually at a government building, a secure building where he works, to let him know what Joey Loudon had said. So my now husband called Joey Loudon, and Joey Loudon told him the same thing. Well, I'm telling you, I didn't sleep. I was so upset. The next morning, I got up, and I called an FBI agent I know in Ohio, and I told him what had happened. And he told me, Brenda, I don't care if it takes you all day. He said, you go to the police, and you sit at the police station if it takes all day, and you tell them what happened. I said, okay. So I did. I told them everything. Because I have not hired anyone to hurt anyone. I didn't pay anyone to hurt anyone. So I was pretty sure that hopefully they would be understanding and I would be okay. Now, then Joey Loudon calls me that evening after I've been to the police all day, and I said, look, I talked to a Fed, I've gone to the police, so by all means, please turn the tapes into the police. So that resolved that side of the issue. But there was still a problem because it just so happened that I'd had another GL 450 Mercedes delivered to me from my dealer in Tampa, Florida. And Joey Loudon, before I actually found out about him writing the $13,000 check, he had actually offered to drive my other Mercedes back to Elkins because I can't drive two vehicles, because I was picking up the new one off the back of a truck that was shipped down from Tampa from. And then later on that day, Joey Loudon had actually asked me if he could borrow the Mercedes because he said his wife, who was a nurse, her car had broken down. And now this was before I found out about him and Elkins Fordland and everything. Do you know that he had my vehicle for, I don't know, a good week or so? Well, next thing I know, I call the police in Buchanan, a man called Buddy Brady, who's a good friend of Joey Loudon's, and they played poker together. And I told him what had happened and that I needed the sheriff's department to help me to get my Mercedes back. And they told me, no can do. Buddy Brady did. Well, do you know the end result? It cost me and my husband $7,000 to is we had to get a cashier's check and pay Joey Loudon $7,000 to get our vehicle back. Now, he's going to claim to you that it was to pay the workers and for a trip that he took with my husband where they picked up one of my vehicles from Florida. Look, do I look stupid to you? It doesn't cost $7,000 to drive a vehicle back from Florida. It costs $500 and you can have it put on a truck. And actually at my dealership in Tampa, that's what they always charged me when they sent my vehicles. He'll also probably claim that he had to pay Brian George. Well, we have proof that he didn't. Because Brian George and them came to us and told us that he didn't pay them. So we had to pay all Brian George and his employees. Because we didn't want liens against our property. Now this is the truth. The honest to God, unsolicited truth. So, I can only ask that if Joey Loudon publishes these pictures of myself and my husband, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure he got from a guy named Mark Ball of Ball Auctions. We had hired Mike Ball back in December 2012 to move us and to also buy some extra things that were quite large, like patio furniture, big oversized living room furniture, a big granite countertop, a sign to my store that I had to shut down, Opal S Boutique, because Brian George and Freddie Tingler's crime buddy is Freddie Tingler, and he kept repeatedly threatening to burn it down. And I was so scared that the tenants who lived above my store would get caught up in the violence and they would be burnt up in their apartments. And I wanted to shut the store down out of respect for Catherine Kapari, who's my friend, because it's her building that my store was in. So, anyway, this is the truth. All the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. And I want you guys to know all about it. I'd also ask, because we need the funding to help us legally. Because, well, once these pictures get out, then it's going to be pretty rough. I'm sure most of you are decent people in the world, but there are those who aren't. And besides that, we've been on the run now for a couple years because of Freddie Tingler and them. They've threatened to rape my mother, burn my store down, repeatedly, actually, kill my husband. They've driven me off the road. They've given me many death threats. They sabotaged my properties. I had to sell them off because I couldn't keep up with the repairs because it was $6,000 and $8,000 and $3,000 every time I had to fix something that they sabotaged. So we really need the help. And more than anything, I want all of you to join the site so that we can put an end to this scamming and fraud, extortion and theft. Because we, the people, if we stand up and we fight them, then the court systems will have no option but to prosecute and put this scum away. Now, I'm quite happy today, and I'm going to try to post the things that Joey Loudon has said to me on Facebook so that all of you can see. And I urge you today, please join the website because it's donated and it helps us, and it will help others, as well as yourself. And just so you know, there are plenty of extra pages on the site for you to tell your stories and for you to post the stalking and harassment that you've received. It has video capability, audio capabilities, video chat, you know. There are many different forms of media on the site for you to be able to stand up and tell what's happened to you. Believe me, when you stand up and you fight these people and you're able to tell how you've been victimized and what's happened to you, it will really help you, because it has certainly helped me. So again, please join the site www.bullyoff.net. That's BULLYOFF.net. And voice your opinions, tell your stories, because it will really help you. Believe me, it's already helping me, because I'm actually getting my own back, and I'm standing up for what's right, and I'm being the person that I am, because I can stand and tell the truth. And by the way, if these thugs release those videos of my husband and myself, I want all of you to know that we were engaged at the time. In fact, we were engaged for a couple of years. And it's our private business about what we do behind closed doors. I do want to say one last thing. What would be on the videos and on the pictures are strictly my husband and myself. We are not sexual deviants, pedophiles, or any of that type of thing. My husband, like a lot of men, loves me and thinks that I'm beautiful. So he wanted to have some mementos of a trip that we made to DC. I mean, that's all I can tell you, is because that's the truth. So, anyway, thank you very much for your time. And God bless you. And I hope only the best for each and every one of you in the world. And please, stand up and fight. Don't be ashamed, and don't be afraid. I have lived in fear for 3.5 years from these people. And I'm not going to live in fear anymore. So have a good day.